will be recorded, Bridget, if I'm correct. And then Heinz also said that basically if you have any questions, please ask throughout his presentation. He doesn't mind. I think he does like it when it is interactive. So yeah, if you have any questions, then like I said, you can ask throughout, and then yeah, you can enjoy it. Hein, you can take over. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Johan, I just want to double check from your side. Is the recording button showing your side?
It's recording, Bridget.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. Okay, excellent. Thanks, Hein. Look, I don't know if you want to give it another minute, Hein, or if you want to maybe just start with your introduction. I know people wait till 9 o'clock and then they start admitting. So it's entirely up to you.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll do a short introduction of myself and Anatech, and then wait, give just maybe a few minutes on that, and then wait for people to join as we go along.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jorinda, for the introduction, and thank you, Bridget, and the Cosken team for inviting us and giving us this opportunity. We really appreciate this. Also like to thank my colleague Ash that organized this. She has done a really great job, Ash. Thank you very much for organizing this. And yeah, today we will be talking about rapid micro testing specifically, and looking at ways to get your results from the micro section a lot quicker. So that you can release products faster or detect any contamination issues a lot sooner. I'm product manager at Anatech Instruments, specifically for micro, and I've been with the company this year 25 years, so it's been a long time. One of the great things of being with one company or specializing in one field or looking specifically at micro is that one generate a lot of experience during this time, so we understand the needs and the frustrations and the challenges that our customers experience, and so we always try to provide very specific solutions to our customers in that regard, so that they can actually address the challenges in their manufacturing facilities. So the company that we represent in South Africa is a company called CertaBlue, and they have designed a rapid microbiology test that is really quite simple to use and very simple to set up in a facility and easy to validate as well. Just about Anatech Instruments, we've been around since 1982, so 42 years this year, and we have several different divisions, and also covering quite a lot of different industries as well. So we basically started off as a chromatography company in 1982. So today we represent Thermo Scientific, which is probably one of the biggest suppliers of scientific equipment worldwide. So anything, and I guess this is quite applicable to you guys as well. It's a HPLC, a GC analysis, looking at the macromolecules, small molecules, proteins, and things like that. We also have a division where we have a product very specific for water and electrochemistry. So we're very well represented in the water industry, the Rand Waters, the municipalities, looking at the chemical analysis, and also obviously the mines as well. Elemental analysis is one of the products that we do as well, mass spectrometry. We also have a fairly large molecular biology division, looking mostly at the research industry in that regard, for all the PCR methods. In microbiology, we also do quite a variety. So we do the run-of-the-mill culture media as well, some consumables, and then we actually have quite a number of really interesting applications for identification of bacteria, swabs, ATP, for hygiene monitoring. So all sorts of interesting new developments in micro that we try to bring to South Africa on a regular basis. We also have an office we have several offices in South Africa, Johannesburg being the main office. and then also the offices in Cape Town, Durban, and Port Elizabeth. And we've started an office in Kenya a few years ago as well. So we're also looking after the Southern African market from Kenya. So let's dive into this. So the Certa Blue instrument is very specific for the testing of microorganisms. So we can look at the general strains, TVCs, yeast and molds, which is very applicable to you. But in some cases, we actually have the ability to look at very specific microorganisms as well. The components of this instrument is basically the automated system called the Autoscanner, the Certa Blue Autoscanner, which is this. Let me just get my laser pointer. So it's the Autoscanner. This Autoscanner is driven by very specific software, and then the heart of it is basically the Certa Blue vials. These vials, I will go into a bit more detail how they work and how they operate. So the principle for micro, so generally speaking, when we talk about conventional micro, you're quite familiar with conventional micro in terms of the fact that we do agar plates. So we actually add up our sample to an agar plate, and we then put that into an incubator. We wait for colonies to form over a period of 2-3 days, maybe 5 days if you're talking about yeast and molds. And we then count those colonies. By definition, colonies, the fact that we wait for colonies to grow is quite a slow process, because we assume that one single microorganism became 1 million bacteria over a period of time. And per definition, the methods then say specifically the time that we need to incubate those plates. If we were to consider any new technology, we need to move away from those colony forming units, because that's the part that's quite slow. So in our case, the way we detect bacteria is looking at CO2 gas that is forming inside these vials. So we have this a CO2 plug or CO2 sensor built into the bottom of the vial. And as soon as bacteria or any microorganism for that matter start growing and multiplying, it produces CO2 gas, and the CO2 sensor turns from blue to orange. There's quite a big advantages in this vial because it's a very nice environment. It's a lot simpler and easier for bacteria to grow in a liquid environment compared to a solid agar plate. And we also don't need 1 million bacteria like we need when we start detecting at colonies. We can just add 100,000 bacteria. We already there's enough CO2 that's been produced to actually create this color change because of the CO2. So this is quite a unique way of looking at bacteria. We will tell you later a bit how we actually interpret the results, but in essence, this is the way how the vials work and how they technically operate. So a negative vial just stays blue, and the positive vials go to orange. The big advantage that we have in this case is the fact that we can detect the color change very early into the system. We don't actually have to wait for the incubation time to stop, and that means that we can detect contamination within a couple of hours. So if you have a very high concentrate or highly contaminated product, we can detect contamination in as little as 4 or 5 hours. And we can also detect if you have 1 or 2 bacteria at the later stage of the product. The other big advantage of this, if there's no bacteria, we can release your product a lot sooner. And that means that we can release your product you can release your product in 48 hours instead of 5 or 7 days with yeast and molds, and the same less for bacteria, so 24 hours for bacteria. The suitable O2 scanner is a very simple instrument. It's basically two heating blocks with optical sensors inside them, and that look at the color change. So no flow cytometry, no flow through systems, or that requires quite a lot of maintenance and is technically quite involved. So it's a really simple color change that we detect. What's also great about our O2 scanner is that we can have two different temperatures on this instrument. So we can set it up for bacteria on the top and for yeast and molds at the bottom. And in total, we can run 40 samples, so 20 at the top, 20 at the bottom. So it's quite a large throughput, large throughput system. And we can obviously add quite a few systems together if the sample throughput is higher, or the number of samples that is tested is higher on a daily basis. This is the optical sensor. So, like I said, it's a fairly simple instrument in the sense that it is LED sensors that is required for that. Maintenance is fairly easy to do. So we have this protective lens that covers these optical sensors. So in case there's a spill, so that it doesn't actually get onto the on the optical sensors itself. So basically, once a month, we take out this protective lens, we clean it. We then also have, in the same token, strips that we use to calibrate the instruments, making sure that the optical sensors are working or performing as they should on a monthly basis. So this is about a half an hour exercise once a month to do maintenance. You can see we have quite a number of different available assays that are available. Specifically for cosmetics industry, Blue have done quite a lot of work with cosmetic companies in Europe, and they've actually designed very specific vials for the cosmetic industry that actually contains neutralizers, so that you have the ability to add the sample directly without neutralizing it first. So normally, if you do conventional micro, you need to actually prepare your sample in a neutralizing broth. A neutralizing broth basically take care of your preservatives, so that when we grow the bacteria on the plate, the preservatives doesn't have an effect on the growth of the organism. So the preservatives will kill or stop the organisms from forming colonies on the plate. So the conventional, the international methods then normally suggest that we do a neutralization of the sample itself. With Blue, like I said, they have developed very specific vials for the cosmetic industry, for yeast and molds, and for total viable counts, which means that we can then add the sample direct with any sample preparation. If we look at these vials specifically, then it's ready-to-use vials, including growth neutralizers, media, and the sensor. So there's no sample preparation. You simply weigh or measure an aliquot of your sample, normally 1 milliliter or 1 gram of sample into the vial. There's no dilution that's required. It's then a rapid screening, so we can say within 48 hours. We can check the absence of TVCs and yeast and molds. It also contains a high buffer capacity, which means that we can recover injured microorganisms. So obviously you're trying to get rid of bacteria and yeast and molds in your facility, so you have a lot of process to take care of that, and in the process you actually then sometimes only injured bacteria and not completely kill them, and those bacteria or those yeast and molds can later on become quite a big problem if they're not properly taken care of. Okay, the protocol is quite simple. We add the sample to the media. So like I said, we normally add either 1 ml if it's liquid or 1 gram of sample directly to the vial. The growth of the organism produces CO2 if there is organisms growing inside in your sample, and then the color change is captured in real time by the LED sensors. So in real time means that we actually take a measurement every 10 minutes. So we can we have then a kinetic profile of the organism if something starts growing, we can see that very quickly without any issues. I have a small video or there's not any sound to this video, so basically the vials are packed in 40 vials in a box. You take you mark the vial with your sample number. In this case, they use a pipette to take the sample directly from the toothpaste, and then add it directly to the vial. So even something like with a very difficult or very complex composition like a toothpaste, we can test directly into the vial. We shake it so that we mix the sample properly with the culture media. And you can see these are the ZWO2 scanners. We just load them. The software will then start as soon as a vial is detected on the software. Yeah, so we can also produce very nice reports from it. So you can actually produce a COA directly from the computer. So you can see directly if so you can produce a COA of your product that you've tested. If you have a problem, if you have a contaminated product, for instance, the software have the capability that you can send, you can attach an email to it, so and the PC will then send you a email to say that there's a product that has been detected as a out of spec product. So the software is very easy to follow. It is basically following Microsoft or Windows. It's a Windows-based program, so it's fairly simple to operate. It's also quite customizable, so you can create those reports with your company logo and so on onto the with the software itself. So it's fairly simple to use. So I'm repeating myself, but it's really user friendly. It's minimal training required. Basically setting up your products up front. You select when you start a test, you simply select the product that you want to test. You select the test that you want to perform on that product. So it's quite easy to use. We also this instrument is also used by the pharmaceutical industry, so they require CFR Part 11 compliance for their software, which means that it needs security features and audit trails, and this is all built into the software to make sure that we cover the requirements for the pharmaceutical industry as well. We also have an OQ, IQ, PQ documents for the instrument. So if you are required, or if maybe you have some products that needs to be that is controlled by SAPRA in South Africa, you would normally require to have equipment that is approved and have this IQ, OQ, PQ performance tested once the installation is taking place. We all have this in place to make sure that we can comply with all the regulatory requirements. These are our calibration strips that I've mentioned. So once a month, when we clean the lanes, we also do a calibration, and this is quite simple. So we have a two-tone colored strip. We follow the prompts on the software for calibration and making sure, again, just checking that the optical system is working properly. We also can check the temperature. We have the temperature sensor that you will normally do once a month as well. These are obviously all recorded once you've done the calibration and checking the temperature itself. It is all recorded while you're doing it for reference later when you need to show your validation and calibrations to maybe to an auditor. Like I said, Blue have done quite a number of studies and worked with quite of the big cosmetic companies in Europe. They're very confident that the Blue works with basically any kind of cosmetic product. In some cases, interference might take place, but and this is where they do validation studies and maybe do a custom solution or a custom vial if your product actually do show some interference. But anyway, it is possible that we can send your samples if we cannot actually do it in South Africa. We will be able to send your product specifically to Blue for them to actually validate and to check and to make sure that their system works for your product specifically. In South Africa, we have a full support from Anatech. So we have engineers that looks after the equipment. We have application specialist Yanda that is very well experienced microbiologist herself that knows the product well and knows the challenges that people are facing. So we're always there to support our customers in micro. On that note as well, at Anatech, we do provide some training services, general training on micro as a as a service for our customers. We normally we are quite experts in when it comes to quality control, rapid micro testing. So yeah, please inquire with us if you need any specific information or if you need some training for your lab. We can definitely look at and how we can actually assist your laboratory to make sure that you provide really good, reliable results. I think that is about me. It was quite a quick presentation this morning. Are there any questions?
Thanks, guys. You guys are all on mute. Sorry, Yorinda. I was just telling everybody they're on mute. I'm sure they've realized. Back to you, Yorinda. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah, I think Ashmita has also just put her email address, I think, in the chat. But yes, is there any questions for Hein? I know, Hein, these days with this black screen, you think there's no one, but I promise you there is over 50 people watching. So
no,
yes.
That's great. It's we're really happy to do this. If anyone needs any other information, you please we are happy to share and to also have answer your specific microbiological questions. Yes.
Thank you, Hein. Yes, like we said, Ashmita did send your details on. Oh, yes, one question from Zelda. She wants to know, what are the costs involved to get this equipment? Okay.
So the instrument is around 170,000. Then we add a computer to that, and that's basically it. So the file, like I said, if you have a fairly basic laboratory, a few pipettes, maybe a bit of sample prep inside, if it's required. But in generally, this is fairly easy to set up. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Hein. There's another question from Dashana. She's just asking, how does this method compare to the ISO methods, and is there international recognition of the method?
Yes. So the international methods, the compendial methods, still refer to the culture-based method or the colony growing methods. When it comes to alternative methods, the cosmetic industry follow very much what the pharmaceutical industry is doing, and what needs to happen to validate this inside your facility, you need to do a suitability test. A suitability test basically means that we compare. We show that our technology work better or similar to what the culture media technology is doing, and we do a few robustness tests, accuracy tests, sensitivity tests. So it is well accepted to because you can imagine that the need for rapid methods are really out there for the industry, because people are waiting very long, and for people to introduce new rapid methods, they actually have alternative methods. There's a procedure to follow so that you can show that it is comparable or better than the actual ISO method. So to answer your question, it is possible to introduce this into your facility and still be compliant with the regulations.
Thank you, Hein. There is another question from Lefuno. Will the equipment need servicing? If so, after how long and who services it?
So we normally will service our own equipment, but in this case, we don't have any moving parts unless you have a software issue, unless there maybe was a spill inside those, which is very difficult to happen because you prepare your vial and you close it up front. But accidents, I guess, happen. So very little service that is required for our instrument. Like I said, we do calibration, and we clean the lens that covers the optical system. Yeah. Just one of the other things that I realized was not in my presentation just now is that with our system, we can also do preservative efficacy testing in-house. So it's quite easy. If you have the 4 or 5 compendial strains that you need to run, you can then run your preservative efficacy testing in-house. So the way we produce the results, maybe I can quickly just go out here. Just show a few slides on how we actually produce results. Okay, so with cosmetics, we actually do a detection of bacteria. So normally, as a rule, maybe unless you have a fairly microsensitive product, you probably then obviously you don't want any bacteria. So we can actually do an absence test or a detection method by just adding the sample directly to a vial. But let's say your specification is less than 100 or less than 10. Normally that's normally in the pharma and cosmetics. What could happen is that for total bacterial count and for yeast and molds, we have these kind of specifications. And what happens, we simply do a dilution, and we add 1 mol and 0.1 mol to get to those specifications. So we call this method dilute to spec. And this dilute to spec method basically allow us to say we have less than 10, less than 100, according to your specification. So we see in the pharmaceutical industry how they actually approach this is that they do dilute to trend. So their specification is less than 100, but 99% of the time they have less than 10 or no detection or no bacteria, and they will actually then test at a higher spec instead of the lower, less than 100 specification. When it comes to the preservative efficacy testing, we have calibration curves for all the different microorganisms used in preservative efficacy testing: Candida, E. coli, Pseudomonas, Staph. So it's quite easy to set up a calibration curve, and for preservative efficacy testing, we need to prove that there's a log reduction from the preservative to the organism itself inside the product. So we use 2 vials per organism. So let's say for E. coli, we will start at 10 to the 6 bacteria. We will add that in the vial. Then we will challenge the product with the organism with the preservative, and then we will add that to the next vial, and we will compare results. And then we have a quantifiable result in that case. So we can actually look at the very specific log reduction in that regard. So a fairly simple, straightforward test for preservative efficacy testing. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that as well, Hein. There was also just a comment from Dashana based on the ISO question. She just said it will be great to see rapid methods make it into ISO methods for future.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
yes.
We had a discussion. I had this discussion with a accredited laboratory the other day, and they said, "Well, why is this not?" I know of one method in the water industry that made it into ISO, that is mentioned in ISO. But I guess if you want to look at any alternative method, you need to be able to compare it to a reference method. So I think the ISO methods will also always be reference, or the reference method, and alternative methods as they go along will have to be, I don't think there's another way of really validating an alternative method to say, yes, this is now ISO. I think we do see changes. And I remember when I started at Anatech, with these kind of rapid methods, they were FDA approved, but that's not happening anymore, because there are so many different approaches to micro now, that no one is FDA. I guess they couldn't really keep up with all the different methods that people wanted to approve. But in any case, there's a really the pharmaceutical industry and the cosmetic industry have made this the suitability test available for in-house testing. So you simply need to prove that the technology works with your product and your people in your facility, and compare that to the reference method. But I agree, it would be nice to have something that says if we can achieve that will be a great job.
Perfect. Thanks, Hein. There's 2 more questions from Zalda. If something is damaged, like the lens, is there parts to order, or do all come as one part?
No, for sure, there's parts to order. So we can replace single optics, because, like I said, there are 40 positions on the instrument. We can replace individual positions of the part. Yeah, so you don't have to buy a new instrument if something goes wrong. Yeah, so definitely there's a lot of parts that we can replace if required.
Thank you, Hein. And then, are the vials for single use, or one can replace test liquid after the use?
No, it is a single use. So basically, if once you've used it, the product basically consume also no, I guess not consume is not the right word, but you've run the test. So it's single use, yeah. So you cannot just replace the liquid, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I think that is all the questions. But like I said, we have shared your details. This is recorded. If they can also. Oh, sorry, someone's not muted there. But yeah, so if you do want more, sorry, I'm just struggling there. I'm hearing someone. So yeah, if you do need the recording, you can just contact Bridget. Otherwise, you have the details for Anatech as well. So yeah, if you're not sure, just contact them or Bridget, and then yeah, you can just ask. But yes, thank you all for your time. Thank you, Hein. Thanks, Ashmita, for your time as well. We really do appreciate it, and hopefully we do see some. Oh, there's one
more question. Sorry.
Question.
Thank you.
We're just ending it now. Okay, one last question. Will there be a SANAS calibration certificate on services?
So we provide a service document for the instrument. There are companies that can make sure that can actually calibrate or can check the temperature of the instrument for you. So our optical lenses that we are using for calibration is enough for us. But the only thing that I can think of that will require SANAS calibration certificate is the temperature of the heating blocks. There are quite a few different companies that can provide a calibration service for temperature. Yeah. But our services you get definitely you can definitely get. We will definitely give you a certificate for the service that we perform on our instrument. Yeah.
Perfect. I think that is everything now. Thanks once again. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Hein. Thanks, Ashmita.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Not a
everybody.
problem. Keep
Thanks,
well.
guys. Have a good day. Thanks, Sharinda.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
You
Han.
too.
Thanks,
Bye.
Ash.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Bye. Enjoy your Easter weekend. Be safe.
And you too.
Bye.
You too, yeah.
Bye.